minutes? Okay. I'm Tom Glendinning. I live in Pittsboro and came to the state in 1964. Just like to point out that I have some literature there on the left side of that table, and if anybody's getting heated up in here, I brought some fans. But we have good or wonderful organizations in the state, Civitas and John Locke, that have more information than I think anybody can really absorb. Now, as I said, I came here in 1964. A rich uncle told me to move to Camp Lejeune and be a Marine, and that's what I did. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. My family business was 2 psychiatric geriatric hospitals. I was raised in that from the age of, well, whatever age that is. Began work there as soon as I could get a Social Security card and, well, lived with it most of my life. That was geriatric and psychiatric. So I'm no stranger to hospitals. In 1964, as I said, I was stationed here. I came to UNC and graduated. I met my wife at UNC, and we married and moved to Chatham County in '72. And I started my business, which was contracting and farming at that time. I've worked on community service, served in the planning board of the county, the Board of Equalization Review, which was an appeals board, and the Board of Adjustment, which is the last board within the county for appeals for planning and tax issues. So I'm very familiar with the tax structure. I'm familiar with county government. I've had the fortune to meet 3 governors in the state. Terry Sanford served when I moved here, and I have supped and been to the homes of Terry Sanford, Bob Scott, and Jim Hunt, and learned an awful lot from them. In, I think it was 1981, Elaine, correct me if I'm wrong, the Haw River Assembly was founded, and I was one of the 3 founders of it. Having come from Cleveland, Ohio, with the river caught on fire, that was a logical move for me. I was concerned about the water that we were drinking. Not that I know of that the Haw River has ever caught on fire, but it was a wonderful thing. I had a farm on the river, and we used to paddle down all the way to the lake. And I was actually here before the lake was made. 2017, I retired. I ran for North Carolina Senate twice in 2018 and 2020. Right now, I'm setting my sights on being a commissioner because I've been here for 60 years, nearly 60 years. I love this county. I love the people in it. I've lived on both sides of the county. And I have 3 goals. One is the taxes. Expenses in the last 8 years, the total county budget went up 64%. That's 8% a year. Now please tell me if anybody has a retirement portfolio that went up 8% a year, because mine is not. The growth, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. We were the 6th largest city in the country. I know what growth is. I know what a city does. I know where, in other words, the change from the city to the suburbs to the country where my aunt and uncle lived, what that entails. Serving on the planning board and the tax board qualifies me to deal with that. And the government ought to just simply provide basic services and not get too far-fetched in its goals. I'm a constitutional conservative Christian, and thank you. I would love to serve the county again.
You've seen Chatham County's rapid growth. What steps do you think should be taken so that attention can be paid appropriately to both rural and urban populations?
Well, having been on the planning board for 6 years and attended a lot of commissioner meetings and working in the tax department, I have been in every township with a map that covered 5 square miles to look at every parcel in every township, and I've met an awful lot of people there. I think that our planning board is excellent. It's run by a very fine fellow who was born and raised here. They are on target. They know what's happening, and the commissioners are well informed. I would just bring my experience of having grown up in a large city to that, but I think we're in very good shape in that structurally.
Okay. We'll go to a different type of issue. What do you think the Board of Education should do about PFAS and dioxin in the county?
Well, I think the Board of Education could educate us about that. We had a very successful program, this was in 81 to 85, of reaching upstream and dealing directly with the towns, including Greensboro, Saxbahaw, Swetsonville, Haw River, Graham, and Burlington all had industries then. The industries have basically gone out of business, so many of them. There's still this problem with the PFAS because I don't know where it is, I don't know who is making it specifically, but it's a byproduct of, I think, fire extinguisher foam. And again, one of our experts is here, Lane Chioso, who can answer that question better, but I think reaching upstream and being working with the governments there to provide better regulation, or at least getting in touch with the people who are manufacturing it, to let them know that the Department of Natural Resources has a punitive function.
We just heard today, I've been reading a bit about it, but the wastewater report was delivered to the commissioners today. What do you think should be done specifically about wastewater treatment?
Well, interestingly enough, one of my first endeavors was to help OWASA, Orange Water and Sewer Authority, clean out some beds that had flooded. They used to have sand beds when I first got here. Now they have centrifuges and the modern equipment, but what can we do about wastewater? I think it's imperative to work with the cities upstream. We would strain our budget, I'm just being fair with you now, to put in a wastewater treatment plant. It would exceed the cost, our annual budget, by 1 3/4%, almost 200% to even consider that. We can deal with the water quality more effectively, very effectively. The spills, if you look at the reports from the dischargers in North Carolina, and I've studied these, the list is long. Believe me, there's a list that long for regional dischargers and how many times they were in violation. But the violations themselves are not that severe. And I think that it's simply a matter of coordination. I don't think we need to get into penalizing anybody for that, but the water quality in the Haw River increased immensely from the 1980 to the 2010 30-year study on that the state put out. And we now are drinking in Pittsboro the cleanest water we've ever had. Disregarding PFAS, and I don't know the epidemiological effects of that, and I haven't seen anything published that relates PFAS to anything specific as far as a disease. It's been called a carcinogen, but then other things have too, without cause and effect.